Hey everyone, Blake here, and working on 2 Unity challenges at once because apparently I'm a glutton for punishment like that. So we have the Neon challenge going on, and then we also have the Machine Learning Agents challenge 1 going on. So I'm going to actually, while we're here, I don't have any screenshots or anything yet. Okay, so I won't do it while we're here. I'm going to be putting in the first challenge for this. I'm going to be starting up a new project. I have my one 5-degree freedom robot, and that's going to be one thing that I'm going to have going on. And then I actually want to do a movement-based environment as well, and so that's going to be kind of a new thing. And so I think that is what I'm going to do for the machine learning challenge, because I've already done the one machine learning with the 5-degree freedom robot. That said, I'm going to revisit it. I am going to use some of that 5-dot robot in the Neon challenge, and so we're going to kind of come full circle and use that as animation. We talked about that a little bit. You know, how can you use these in a practical sense? Wow, there's a lot of new challengers going on here for the Neon challenge. Lots of really cool looking stuff, making my little programmer-y self look a little nubcasey that I am, but you know, is what it is. Oh, I'm way higher than I thought because I have some more people who have decided to follow this. Wow, thank you. And there's also a whole bunch of people that have joined this channel that have subscribed to my videos, which is super awesome. Thank you. Especially in the last 48 hours, I've gotten 5 or 6 new subscribers, so welcome. Glad to have you. You know, again, I'm just going through learning this myself and then trying to pass on as much knowledge as I can in a practical way. So it's not like, you know, some folks out there like the professional YouTubers that do all the stuff. That's not who I'm trying to be. I'm just trying to be semi-knowledgeable and somewhat helpful. So this is my Neon, Project Neon page. I am trying to do this with $0, so that's any software. So I'm not even using Photoshop or 3D Studio Max. It's all open source free software, so the only thing that costs me anything is my computer hardware. This is my latest. Added some fog, and more importantly actually is the lighting. I added some lighting and it makes a big difference here, but now we need to start getting some characters in the scene. I do want to add some, you know, more detail with these pillars and whatnot, but really I think the next big thing is going to be to get my robot down here. And so for this I'm going to use the 5-degree of freedom robot. I'm going to take it, I'm going to give it a new skin, but at the very high level I just want to use, you know, the logic of what we've already done thus far. So I'm going to go back. There have been some updates. So my Git client, which is Gitkraken, fired that up. They have a new major release, 0.2.0, and so this is, you know, just last week. Lots of new examples. They have the Reacher example. They have a bunch more examples. So really one of the first things I want to do, based on some of the comments I was getting, is that maybe this stuff isn't working as well as it should. So I need to make sure that whatever those updates were haven't broken anything, and that the behavior is what I want so that I can use this portion in the Neon challenge. So I am going to go through. Everything should be up on my Git, but if people are having problems with that, let me know and I will look into it. So I have my robot arm, and here's my 5-dot robot arm. I'll go open that scene. So I'm going to hit play on this just to see, you know, if the other code from the new things that we've imported have changed anything. It doesn't look like anything is hugely different here. It doesn't seem as smooth as it was before. I mean, I know part of it is just because it's going super duper fast. So we're just going to slow this guy down a little bit. Alright, how about a whole lot? Alright, and we're going to take a look at it. looks like it's moving about like we would expect. Now again, we have a couple of things going on here, right? We've slowed it down, brought it back to more kind of human scale speeds, 5 degrees of freedom as it's rotating around, and also to prevent it from getting caught in these local maxima loops, we are occasionally skipping frames. Well, actually, we're regularly skipping frames, so we're having it only evaluate from time to time, and when those times are is actually randomized. And that seems to help prevent it from getting into these loops. The next project I'm going to work on is going to be a movement-based project, so that'll be interesting. Alright, so this does seem to be behaving as I'd expect. If you are able to just go to my Git and download the project as it is, go to ML Agents Examples Robot Arm 5DOF Scenes, open up that scene, and hit play, it should go. Well, so the other thing is in build settings, I think you might have to set the, what is it, other settings? Other settings. Yes. So in here you have to go to the inspector and do this enable TensorFlow as this specialty symbol so that it knows to enable the local TensorFlow execution stuff. Alright, so that seems to be working. That said, I'm also going to go ahead and just show what the training looks like. Now, my training environment isn't the latest, because what I did is I saved off a copy of it once I got everything working right. I just made a copy of it on my desktop. So why don't we go ahead and do it all from the ground up, and let's just see what happens together. Alright, so I have my Google Drive, projects, and then Draco ML Agents. And so here's the Python, and that has, I think, everything. Oop, wrong window. Hi, OBS. Alright, so that has everything that is in this folder. Alright. And then these docs are just from their site, and those images, who knows, I think those are for the docs. And then this Unity environment is a Unity environment that I don't even use. So this was downloaded. All right, so why don't we take this Python, and we're just going to copy it up to the desktop, and I'm going to call this ML Agents 020, because that is the most recent version. And again, I'm just saving it off because, you know, this is a thing that's being actively developed, and it might break something. And that's okay. Like, that's part of the process, is sometimes these things get broken. Oh, that's the wrong one. No, I can delete that file. You know, especially when we're talking about something so early in this, like it's not a you know, dig on anybody. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. So I make a copy of it just so that I know over the next couple of weeks I'm probably going to want to do apples to apples kind of testing. And yes, you can use your Git client to, you know, rewind and fast forward and get to a specific point. And sometimes it's easier just to make a copy on your desktop so that you are at a known start point. So the other thing is I have this handy startup script that I really enjoy. And I'm just going to edit it real quick and make sure that this does. All right, so Jupyter Notebook, TensorBoard, log directory is going to be summaries, and that'll get created, and then I fire up a browser. So yeah, this batch file is just a shortcut to start all the TensorFlow stuff. Because I'm not a huge TensorBoard person. All right. Did I hit that twice? No. I hope not. All right. We're good. We are good. All Oh, okay, yeah. So the other one was TensorBoard. All right. No dashboards. Okay. And then here are my libraries. All right. So from the last project that we had in Git, I'm going to go to Unity, make sure that I have my robot arm 5'd off, and I'm going to go to Build Settings, and I'm just going to make sure that we add this open scene, this robot arm 5'd off. All right, so that's in the scene. And then I'm going to build it, and I'm going to build it into our new folder. All right, that'll be great. So this will take a little longer than usual. Do a little dance while it waits. Try again. Hold on. Google Drive. Google Drive. Are you? Yeah, it's Google Drive. I run Google Drive to back up all my files, and that includes my project files. So sometimes it backs up my project files while I'm using them, and I have to close Google Drive. Be smarter than me. All right. Here's my exe. Oh, here's the other thing. I did not do this. Need to do this. I need to turn off this individual environment. I need to turn on the environment builder. 5 rows, 4 columns of environments. And then in my Robot Academy, I need to change my brain from internal back to external. So now when I hit play, there should be 20 environments. There they are. And they're all at randomized positions, which is great. And they are not doing anything because they don't have a connection to the external player. I have been in touch with the Unity Machine Learning's team. They have told me that I should in fact be able to have more than 20 environments running at one time now, that there was a JavaScript timeout that they were getting. That's actually pretty exciting. And they've also been doing some cool things with curriculum learning, which is where you have a problem and then it gets harder and harder and harder. Very interesting stuff. So let's rebuild this. Yes, I want to replace it. So now it's actually the 20-bot 5-degree freedom. There we go. And if we fire that up by itself, it's just going to open up a little window and then do nothing. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do, I have this wonderful cool background program, and that might make things crash. So I'm going to quit that. Okay. What else do I need to do? Okay, this basics IPy notebook is your friend. This is what makes sure that everything works stem to stern, and that you didn't forget any of these cool steps that I just did. So, put in my simple robot, 5'd off. I really wish there was a hotkey for this run button. I don't know if somebody knows it. It'd be really great. I do like just taking it one step at a time so I can watch things as they happen. All right, see the Unity environment firing up. Started successfully, 1 brain, 11 states, that sounds right. Action descriptions, okay. All right, and keep going here. Current agent state looks like that, sure. We have randomized start position, that looks about right. Take random actions in the environment, see what the heck happens. Its scores are really, really bad. That's because it is getting penalties for moving around. Oh, something caught one. But then when it gets a target, it's happy. All right, and that seems like it's in good shape. So that is kind of the ideal scenario of what you want to see when you go through this basics, right? This is just, is everything connected? Is the state space right? Is it responding to actions? You know, just sanity check. And there are enough things going on in these scenarios that you need it. these are complex. There's lots and lots of little moving parts. So don't feel bad if it's like, oh, I forgot to, change the brain over to external. Why is everything 0? Or why are all of my scores the same? Well, maybe you forgot to change the brain over to external and it's not interacting with the brain and it's not doing anything. That kind of thing is really common. Lots of little fiddly bits. And again, to be expected, especially this early in this kind of project. All right. So, training. I have moved away from CPU training. I'm on GPU training. While that should mean that it's faster because it's more powerful, and I don't doubt that that's true, I also had more luck with it. Now, I don't really know why I had more luck with it, but gosh darn it, I really did. And it might have been because I got other parameters at the same time or something like that, but I know that I never really got anything working right on CPU-based, and then as soon as I went over to GPU-based, I was seeing things that were much better. All right, so robot arm 5 off. The next thing I need is the hyperparameters, and I have some bytes files, and then I don't have my hyperparameters in here like a good Blake. All right, I'm back. So, went to one of my previous YouTube videos, found the hyperparameters. Now again, new version, don't know if any of these parameters have changed. Okay, I have a lot more than that. Run path is still PPO. Load model, in this case, I want false because I'm not continuing training a model. I am training the model. Summary frequency is the same, save frequency, and environment is the name of my environment. Right, so this is the name of my .exe file. Except for mine is 5.20. This is back when I thought I had a 4-degree freedom robot and then realized it needed to be 5. Alright, gamma, lambda, time horizon. I have changed my time horizon significantly on purpose. Beta, I changed number of epochs left alone. Epsilon, buffer size, yeah, I made mine 10 times bigger. Learning rate, looks like I dropped it by a little bit. Hidden units, I made it smaller. Actually, this is a fairly simple machine in many ways, and then the batch size I went way up with. So these hyperparameters are super duper important, and having wrong hyperparameters will cause your widget to not work at all. All right. So next step, make sure anything else that could be using the GPU isn't, because every now and then this step has failed, and it usually means that I just need to restart the machine. I think it's a video memory something or something. Nope, name error. Look at that. Name Unity environment is not defined. That is not the name of my environment. Alright, oh. Yeah, hadn't run that. Kind of important. Okay, let's try this again. This is what happens when you click on the things in the right order. Alright, so I see my environment firing up down there. That's good. Started successfully. This looks just like it did on the basics one. Now we start training. And this is the part that'll take a while. And I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me train. I don't think. I don't know, I could, if you really want me to. So, while this is running, you should see some text output there sooner or later. And look, we can see this, and we don't see anything going on here at all. I have the sneaking suspicion this has crashed horribly. Well, let's take a look at our Jupyter Notebook. That looks all right. TensorBoard looks all right. Summaries, PPO, nothing in it. Just making sure that I got this name right. Well, I know I did because it's right here and it's not doing anything. It's just not responding. Yeah, totally got that name right. All right. Well, now we're going to close and halt. That did close down our environment. That's good. We're going to leave this. We're just going to kind of restart it, see what happens. It wasn't a hard crash, but it was a crash. And this is kind of par for the course. That's why I'm not actually editing out any of this if I don't have to. All right, so that everybody can just kind of see the nature of the beast. All right, everything here looks reasonable. Oh, still nothing in TensorBoard. Okay, so we've reloaded. Come back in here. We've imported NumPy. We've set our hyperparameters. Loading the environment. All right, environment has successfully initialized. Train the agents. Nothing. All right, task manager. Not looking great. So I see OBS working. I see my Unity editor working. What I don't see working is this Unity environment. And or Python. Right. So this executable is at 0%. No bueno. Gonna wait for the program to respond. Oh, here we go. Internal error. Blast gem launch failed. All right. So anytime I see this blast failed, and I do see it from time to time, again, that tells me that the GPU is likely busy doing something else. Now that error message I'm used to getting, oh, yes, over here. All right. And then we get, yes, in this Jupyter notebook, we get just a huge amount of like TensorFlow Jenkins stuff. And a lot of times you get like some blast errors in there. I'm not seeing them this time. So apparently, oh hey, still have VR stuff turned on. Let me go ahead and turn that off. So it looks like having issues with the graphics card not being completely dedicated over. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to stop this recording, reboot my machine, and then pick up where I left off. I'll be right back. Hello, I'm back, and we've just started recording again, turned off my wallpaper, turned off Google Drive. I also don't have Unity running, and that might have been taking enough of the video card's memory that it caused that blast issue. Wait, that link, what is that for? So, ML Agents 2. Let's go ahead and see what happens if we just start everything up. Localhost, TensorBoard fires up. Jupyter Notebook seems to have fired up. Come on, TensorBoard, we're waiting on you. basics looked good. We're going to trust that that's still the case. I'm just going to go into this. Alright, last checkpoint 6 minutes ago. Which means I rebooted pretty quick. Import all the things. Good. Set all the parameters. Good. Fire up an environment. I'm wondering if it's the Steam VR stuff. Yeah. Alright. Well, this is what I get for being highly multidisciplinary. Alright. So it looks like the Steam stuff, Steam VR, is also trying to fire as our environment is firing up. I can't imagine that's helping out at all. So I turned that off a second ago, but I didn't rebuild. So I'm going to rebuild and deploy now that I have all the Unity VR stuff turned off. File, build settings, build, simple robot, 5 DOF in 020. All right, yes. I know this isn't super exciting, but what it is, I find sometimes it's helpful to watch somebody else go through the troubleshooting so that if you hit it yourself, you're like, oh, wait, I've seen this before. Okay. Now I'm also going to double check that that was really off. I'm like 99% sure. Oh, look at that. It was on. All right. Let's do it again. All right. Thankfully, the builds are pretty quick. All right. Background is off. Unity is off. Google Drive is off. And I'm out of tea. All right. That fired up on its own. Good. Happy with all that. Let's go back here. Import the things we've already imported, set the hyperparameters, fire up the environment. This time it shouldn't kick off Steam VR. Behind the scenes communication, back and forth, between Python. Oh no. Timeout. You know what? Let's just try it again. I see the environment. I'm staring at the environment. The environment has started up. And nothing. Another timeout. And this is just what it is sometimes. Alright, we're going to restart my machine again. Because sometimes that's what you have to do. Attempt number 3, 4, I don't know, I've lost track at this point. Alright, well, let's do it again. Start everything up. TensorBoard is up, Jupyter is up. Gonna fire up the basics again. I'm just checking to make sure that when this environment didn't save the name. When this environment fires up, that it is not firing up Steam VR again, because that is uncool. All right. That seems to go fine. Made with Unity, yes indeed. All right, goes to the gray screen. Everything looks good. Crap, I did not mean to start a second one. That's probably not good. Yeah, now they're confused. Don't look for solution windows. I already know what the problem is. I'm my problem. Don't try to figure that out. Nope. Missed the handshake because of the networking issues, because I accidentally fired up 2 of them at once. This is why we end up doing as much troubleshooting as we do. Alright, well, reboot again. Alright, this is attempt 3 or 4 or something. I have more tea, and I have chocolate, because we're at the point where I need chocolate. Let's see, machine learning, agents 2. All right. Startup. There's TensorBoard. There's Jupyter. Back to the basics. Load the dependencies. Good. Environment parameters. Good. Fire up the environment. Good. Examine it. Looks good. Random actions. Good. Close the environment. Everybody's happy. Everything ran. Everything is good. All right, so I'm going to just close and halt. All right. Import everything. Good. Set hyperparameters. Good. Load the environment. Please load. It loaded. Train the environment. Please do something. Please. Pretty please. Okay. It's not giving me anything that lets me think that BLAS or whatever didn't load, right? My GTX 1080. Just working on that. No bueno. Aha. There we go. Got a mean reward. It is working. So normally what I do is I zoom the camera out a little bit so that I can see the environments. Part of the problem is we're zoomed in too much. We're in open space. However, unlike before, yes. Oh, it's all part of a robot. There it is. So, unlike before, there we go. We saw Jupiter wasn't working before, it's working. Our simple robot wasn't working before, it's working. This system is up and running and trying to do stuff now. Yay! So, there it is. That's what it looks like when you try to troubleshoot and fire this up for the first time and try to get everything running. Or even, again, this isn't even the first time for this one. Like, this has been, I've done this a few times. I'm a regular at this point. This just is what it is. This is what it takes to get the job done. So, that's my troubleshooting, and you'll see that the reward is getting better and better. It's getting closer and closer to 0. And it has saved the file once, and it's going to keep doing this for hours and hours. So I'm going to let it do its thing. And hopefully when we are done, we will have a trained model at the end of it. Fingers crossed. All right. Good luck, folks. Bye. All right, so it's been hour and a half-ish, hour 40 minutes of training since we finally got this thing to kick off. And again, looking at it and you're like, man, Blake, you're restarting your machine a lot, and this is really fiddly. And yes, it is. That's just the nature of the beast right now. For some of it, it's the nature of the beast for all machine learning, and also some of it is just because this Unity toolset is still very young. That said, it does work. We're definitely getting a good result. So a perfect score in this game would be 1 point. And so that would be if the robot touches the ball instantly and no time elapses. That's really, really, really not going to happen. So we are likely going to approximate 1 without ever getting there. So this 0.935 is pretty good. This 0.929, again, these are all very good scores. So you'll see that we were on a general upward trend, and then here we've kind of stalled a bit. 0.925, 0.931, 30, up and down and up and down. So we're going up still. The gains are fairly small, and you'll see that in the tensor board. Right? I think it just added another. Oh no, it didn't. So you can see that in tensor board. We can make this really big, and we can turn off smoothing. We can make this really big. There we go. And you can see how jagged this is, and then it smooths out. And again, we've gotten really close here to what we're going to say is asymptotically close to a solution, right? This is, again, far beyond human capability to solve this problem, at least with manual input. Doing it ourselves, we're probably on par with the computer with our own arms, but using a controller and trying to control this computer arm, this is far better than any human could do. And so I'm pretty happy with this result. So since we're doing an end-to-end, let's just do the end-to-end. I'm going to go ahead and just say this is good enough. It's getting late. I can call this project, and again, you can fiddle with the hyperparameters yourself, but this should be fine. So in that folder on my desktop, as I click around randomly, if I do machine learning agents 2, right, there should be in PPO, no, in models, PPO, right, so there's a bunch of checkpoints. And it also says that it, saves the file as it goes along the way. So what we're going to do is, instead of letting this thing finish executing, because that would take forever, we're going to come to the PPO here. And so, yeah, see, so it went up to 0.935, and then it went down to 0.930, now 932. So we're hitting that top, right? It's a little bit better maybe than the previous set, but we're still not at the point where we're increasing the way that we used to when we first started this, right? When there's a definite upward trend, a very clear upward trend. There's no longer that upward trend. So I'm going to say that this is good enough and So what we will have is this saved model. And again, you can keep running it or try different hyperparameters and whatnot, and then that'll be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and hit stop, make sure that stops. Good. I've interrupted things. And now I'm going to export the trained TensorFlow graph. All right. And so here we are, 750,000 iterations. So 750,000 iterations. Froze 4 variables, and I converted those to constant ops. Now, if you wanted to, you could also switch this load model to true and then keep training. Totally an option. Really love the fact that you can like stop and resume. You could also try changing other hyperparameters and resuming where you left off, although I don't really recommend doing that. So let's see. Models, PPO, checkpoint. Okay, so that generated this bytes file. So all of that work, and now we have an 8K bytes file. And I think this is a binary file. Yeah, we can't read anything here, which is kind of a shame. But pretty small file. So now we're able to take this, and actually I gotta use the desktop one because I have multiple versions of Unity installed. And then I will open the Unity environment. And this is our 5-degree freedom robot. I'm going to show in Explorer. All right, and actually before I do this, I'm going to do 5.20-live, because this is at least as live as it gets without, actually hanging out for the hour and a half, 2 hours. All right, 5.20-live.bytes. All right, and that's the wrong one. There it is. Okay, so that's the live one. So now we're going to turn on that. We're going to turn off our environment builder. All right, and then for the brain, we're going to switch this over to internal. All right. Make sure I'm not broadcasting over right here. So this is our live one. So we'll take our live, put those bytes over there, make sure that we have a placeholder for epsilon, and that's at 0. And so we should be able to hit play with our one bot. And for some reason, SteamVR, I noticed a setting in here that it turned itself on sometimes, and that might be because I have the Steam library in it. I'm not sure. Okay, so as soon as we bring that in for our default 5.0 robot, again, we are flailing about. Let's slow that down. And let's take a closer look. Now that's going to be a hard target. Oh no, got it. And so here we are. It's working. So load your project, check your hyperparameters, run through the basics. Make sure you've done all of that. Take your time. Try not to, say, launch 2 copies at once, right? If the environment doesn't start up right, just restart your machine. Make sure your video card isn't in use. Turn off Unity and everything else, background stuff. Give it another shot. Sometimes if it still has problems, that's pretty much the process. That's just what it takes for the GPU stuff. I've had much better output from the GPU stuff, from the GPU version of the training, but the reliability, it loves to crash. And the only thing that I found to reliably kind of restart from the beginning is to reboot my machine. Some of the stuff I think is network, so there might be better ways to do inter-process communication that's a little more robust. But right now, for the code base that we have, just restarting the machine, making sure that you reinitialize everything, give BLAS its opportunity to grab as much video card RAM as it can, and let it go. I will say, that computer does seem to actually, oh, we finally got stuck. It does do fairly well. You can still do other stuff while it's doing the machine learning. If you saw my CPU activity, you could tell that it wasn't completely slamming my machine, right? I had one of my cores fully maxed out, and then I can't use the GPU for a whole lot because a lot of the video card memory seems to be taken up, but that doesn't actually seem to have a giant negative effect on my machine. So I can still do, browse the web, check Facebook, do all that stuff, and it doesn't seem to have any ill impact on the training at all. And I was even able to do some modeling in Blender, and that didn't have any ill impact on the training at all. But it is key that you start the training first. And I think that just is where it's most reliable, is if you just start clean, close everything that you possibly can, and then you have a nice clean slate for the machine learning to get initialized. Now, once it's initialized and running, it does okay. So there it is. I hope that's helpful for some folks. I'm going to make sure that this gets pushed up into Git so that we have the latest, because there was also the hyperparameter file to go along with the bytes file. But this bytes file that you've seen me do is going to go up along with everything else. So good luck, have fun, and happy machine learning.